Yeah, what's up guys, it's Al from Exiles. Promised you guys another cubic deck profile, this time with the brand new support from Dual Overload. So I'm not going to waste any time, I'm going to go right into it. So, our three main deck monsters, 3 Crimson Nova. This is your OTK guy. 3k attack, unaffected by activated monsters' effects that have 3000 or less attack. If he destroys the monster by battle, he can attack again. And also during your end phase, both players take 3k burn. This card wins games by itself, and it's always the card you want to go for if you're looking to get rid of your opponent. Next, probably the most important card in the deck is Doozer. On normal or special summon, this can send any cubic card in from your deck to the graveyard, and if a cubic monster is sent to the graveyard while he's on the field, this guy can gain during the same turn. This guy can gain 200 attack for each cubic in your graveyard, which is pretty cool. But most of the time, you'll be wanting to summon this off of Summon a Monk, or from your hand, or off of Unification, just to keep dumping your cubic cards into the graveyard and really put the pressure on your opponent. 3 Summon a Monk. People choose to not play this anymore, but I really like the way that this deck can use rank 4s, so I've stuck with the Summon a Monk. It also helps you get dead spell cards out of your hand that you'd rather use their graveyard effects for example, Cubic Karma or Dharma or Unification, for that matter. We're playing 3 Seed, because we are playing the new support cards. Seed is really oppressive and really cool. I really like it. It can't be destroyed by battle. And if you have to bring this guy into face-up attack position, Cubic Dharma will stop you from taking any battle damage regardless, so that's really nice. Now, one major change from the last build is my Kings ratio. So, Kings and Beasts, I'm playing one of Big-Al-YGO and one of Dark Garnex. Both of these guys require you to send a cubic monster from your field to the graveyard to special summon. And Big-Al-YGO burns for 800 on special summon, and Dark Garnex gains 1000 attack and has an additional attack when doing battle. But you're not going to want to be using these guys for their own effects. Big-Al-YGO can be quite a cheesy way to win in game, so it's this deck's version of Cowboy for game, which is quite funny. But we're not running the middle lines. We're not playing Vulcan Dragony or Blade Garudia anymore. We're just playing the first and last stages. We're playing the one Indira Doom Vault and one Buster Gundle. This one burns for 800 on summon and has 2400 attack. But Buster Gundle is still a really good guy because he goes up to 3k. He can attack 3 times if he's summoned by his normal ways. And the fact that both of these guys can resurrect up to 3v jam the cubic seeds from your graveyard and then search any cubic card from your deck or graveyard back to your hand means they're a really, really reliable resource to come to, especially when games go into the grind game. 3 Karma. This card is so detailed, but I'll try and break it down to you. There's 3 parts of this card. So its on-field effect is you can dump any number of V-Jam the cubic seeds from your hand or deck to the graveyard, targeting a cubic monster you control, and then that cubic monster gains 800 attack for each. So, during your opponent's turn, if a V-Jam the cubic seed is special summoned by the effect of a cubic monster, you can send it to the graveyard while it's face up on the field. And if you do that, you can halve your opponent's life points. This effect really rarely comes up, but it's really good otherwise. But the effect you're mostly going to be using it for is the effect that it has to banish itself from the graveyard to search any cubic monster from your deck to your hand. This effect is not once per turn. Now we're playing 3 of the brand new Cubic Dharma. This prevents you from taking any battle damage from attacks involving cubic monsters. And both of its effects are hard once per turn, unfortunately. But its first effect is it lets you send any cubic card from your hand to the graveyard to draw a card, which is always nice to have. And its second effect is that you can banish it from the graveyard to return any cubic monster from your graveyard back to the hand. So that's a really nice effect to have. Cubic Wave, this is your damage output card. It lets you target a face-up monster your opponent controls and a monster you control. The attack of your opponent's monster gets halved and the attack of your monster gets doubled. You can also banish it from the graveyard along with any number of other cubic monsters. to place cubic counters on your opponent's monsters. Now, monsters with cubic counters can't attack or activate their effects. Their effects are negated, so anything with a cubic counter basically gets fog bladed, skill drained, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty nasty. Triple goods, because you want to get your spells and traps into the graveyard. Double desires. This card you basically want to use once you've searched out all of your options. 2 Hey Trunade, because sometimes you want that back row removal but you don't want to pay the discard. And 2 Twin Twisters, because sometimes you want the back row removal and you want the discard as well. So that's also really nice to have. Triple Unification, Loki, I think probably one of the best trap cards, because if any cubic monster leaves the field, you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon any level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summon conditions, and it can't be destroyed by battle until all card effects until the end of the turn. So you can basically cycle through these with Doozer, so while you link climb essentially. So you can go climb up with Nightmares, pop your opponent's cards, and you'll keep being able to bring Doozers out from your deck by banishing these, dumping them, and then recurring the advantage that way. And I think that's really cool. Now for the brand new cards, 1 Cubic Causality. Long story short, this allows you to distribute any cubic counters on your opponent's monsters up to the amount of cubic monsters you control. You know what cubic counters do, they negate your opponent's effects. But it also has the graveyard effect of being able to banish itself from the graveyard to target any cubic monster you control. And this turn, each time it destroys a monster by battle that has an A counter, you get to burn your opponent equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster. So this is it's a win more card, but this is a nice disruption and it's a nice negation that cubics need if they're forced to go first. Meaning you can side in additional copies of this or the new Cubic Ascension card. People don't really like going into battle against Vijam the Cubic Seed, and this card gets it straight out of your deck. So if your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon a Vijam the Cubic Seed from your deck. And if you do, the attack target becomes Vijam the Cubic Seed, which is, you know, Cubic Seed can't be destroyed by battle, places an A counter, puts itself into the back row. So that's a really nice thing to have. But it also has the additional effect of, if your opponent's life points are 2,000 higher than yours, you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a Vijam from basically anywhere, hand, deck or graveyard. And on top of that, sorry guys, I can't really speak today, I don't know what's wrong with me. On top of that, if you controlled no monsters and only your opponent controlled monsters, you can bring 2 more Vijams from anywhere. So it's basically access to 3 Vijams if you're on the losing side of things. So, you know, you're forced to go first, you're put on the back foot a bit. This card can really, really help you out. So that's really cool. And the last card, we are still playing the Cubic Rebirth. I don't like having to play it, and I would substitute it for something else, but I'm trying to see if there's enough Cubic cards to mitigate the cost of Crimson Nova enough at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. Now moving on to the extra deck. 1 Trinity. You never see this guy, but he's there just in case. He's your flex card, like I've said before. Avramax, probably the best Link 4 monster in the game at the moment, next to Boral Sword. Bujinki Ahashima. This one I'm testing out along with Summoner Monk and Doozer, because if you have an additional level 4 in your hand, it can bring the level 4 monsters you sent off the graveyard as well as one from the hand into its zones, and any rank 4 you make into its zone allows you to pop an additional card onto your opponent's field. So, you know, it's some additional removal that you might need, because even though cubics push out the damage, they find it quite difficult to remove cards from the field and have to rely on the extra deck side of things to do that for them. Nightmare Package. You primarily use these to climb up with Doozer and Unification in the graveyard. Pentastag, because sometimes having your Crimson Nova being able to inflict piercing damage is just what you need to edge that win. The 1 Owl Mirage and Linkaribo, these are basically to get your Vijams off of the field. as well as being able to trigger unification, because that can happen that way. Abyss Dweller if you're going first and you know you're against a graveyard-based deck. The Tornado Dragon for back row removal and destruction. Dagaris, I swear by this card. This card has helped me out in so many situations, because it can be the difference between summoning Crimson Nova and not. If you have Summon Monk and Doozer, you can unbrick your hand, and then you should have the necessary requirements to summon your Crimson Nova and go for game from there. The final rank 4 is Light Dragon, because I think it's a nice protective card in general. It lets you protect your monsters by card effects, which is cool. And then we're playing some trains. We're playing Gustav Max and Subadora. So that has been the extra deck. Hope you've enjoyed everything here, guys. It's been done to the best of my ability. I don't know how you guys would play it. There's a few different ways I've seen people playing the deck, but I like quite bare bones sort of structure to my things. Anyway, that's been Cubics for everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm being sure to push out more deck profiles in this unprecedented time, but keep your fingers crossed and I'll bring more content up to you guys as it goes along. If you're also interested in Yu-Gi-Oh art, I'm going to be posting some hyperlapse sort of videos of me drawing some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so if you like that sort of content, give this video a thumbs up. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, and I will see you later.